Big
You know,
deal.
I've never been a fan of you have a game on the East Coast and you stay out there. I used to really dislike when the Cardinals did that. I'm going, you're a modern day athlete. You can handle a flight back, get back into your rhythm, your routine, your regular practice schedule, then you go out on the road again. But
They got their time.
you know what?
They're saying the time change.
I think you always, when Bruce Arians is doing something, you just trust it.
Yeah.
You know, he knows what he's doing. There's going to be no distractions out there. They're in West Virginia. And it's gearing up to be a huge game next week. And man, if they can get this one done and be 5-1 and have the Steelers out of the way with no Ben Roethlisberger,
yeah.
I mean, then you're looking at this season as things are really, really falling into place.
It is one of those where you said you can kind of write them off if they do pull off the win because Ben Roethlisberger wouldn't be playing.
Right.
But you cannot dispute the fact this is going to be the best running back they faced, Le'Veon Bell. This is going to be the biggest test for that defensive line this season.
And one of the best wide receivers they're going to face in Antonio Brown as well. So obviously Ben Roethlisberger's not throwing to him, so that's an advantage. But the Cardinals did a good job against Calvin Johnson, limiting him to I think under 70 yards receiving on Sunday. Patrick Peterson and the Cardinals secondary did a good job of just limiting him. I think you guys talked about it on Sunday. Has the Cardinals defense been that good, or have the quarterbacks they faced been that bad?
Yeah.
Right now, Matthew Stafford's struggling. Colin Kaepernick was awful. He just threw up some awful passes, and the 49ers lost to the Cardinals. The Cardinals only had to face Jake Cutler for one half and face Jimmy Claus in the second half. So that's going to be another storyline. Wait until the Cardinals defense has to face a good quarterback like a Russell Wilson or Andy Dalton or Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Here's the other thing I'll say about the Cardinals defense when they play a substandard quarterback. They are really, really going to make you look worse than you are because they rattled you, right? I mean, they rattled Stafford. Every quarterback they played when they've beaten them, I mean, look at Kaepernick. Right, he had like 3 straight interceptions before he had a completion in the second and third quarter of that San Francisco game. So they get in your head. I mean, with the way they attack and they come at you so fast. So I think the potential is there for them to really get into the head of Mike Vick next week.
Yeah, and one thing that's huge in their advantage is with no Ben Roethlisberger, even if you have an elite back like Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, you know what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. They're going to hand that ball off to Le'Veon the majority of the game. Cards know that. Let's see if they can prevent it.
Yeah, I don't know. Mike Vick in 2015, and he was playing in 1999 and 2000. Right, he was on the cover of Madden
at a different level. Yeah.
You know, it's really funny because some of these young players grew up watching him. Right, and now they're going to be on the field.
Yeah.
You know, like Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu. They were playing Madden. When he was on the cover, and now they're going to be out to stop him on Sunday. That's pretty cool.
The Cardinals lead the NFL with 11 interceptions through 5 games. Carolina and Green Bay have 8, so that's a pretty big margin. They also have 49 interceptions since 2013, tied with the Buffalo Bills for the most in the NFL. So, and the Cardinals 11 interceptions were the most for the team for the first 5 games of the season since 1956. We keep shattering these records. We keep bringing up the Cardinals haven't done this in 50 years. They haven't done this in 60 years. No matter the level of competition, you have to know just how historic the Cardinals start has been so far.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's not forget, Detroit was a playoff team last season.
Yeah.
So we're always talking about the level of competition, but you have to give the Cardinals credit for making these teams look bad as well.
Yes,
because you can't have it both ways. At the beginning of the season, one of the talking points was how difficult this schedule was supposed to be for the Cardinals. Right? And so far, so many things have fallen into place where it hasn't been that way. San Francisco's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Jason, they may not win another game.
I know.
They may not win another game this year. The Seahawks at some point I think are going to mail it in.
You think so?
At some point, if they are looking up and they're 4 or 5 games behind the Cardinals, they're done. It's over for them.
You want another one of those 50-year stats? No one in 50 years. The Cardinals haven't won 2 games on the road in the season by 25 points or more in 52 years.
Wow.
Okay. So winning on the road, I don't care who you play. If you win on the road, you beat the worst team in the NFL on the road by 1 point. That's a good win. Any road win is a good win. The Cardinals are destroying teams on the road.
Yep.
I don't see why next week should be any different. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you're destroying opponents like that, I don't care the level of quality or the competition. You have to take notice.
Yep. And let's take a look at those defensive numbers specifically from yesterday. Cardinals, you mentioned this last week, Shane, where kind of the overall yards allowed can be a deceiving statistic. Here's one. Cardinals allowed 436 yards yesterday. Lions gave up 345, but right down there below, that's the key statistic. 6 turnovers in the form of 4 interceptions and 2 recovered fumbles, 1 sack. Lions had 2. It's all about the turnovers, is it
Oh,
not?
it's all about the turnovers because, those numbers are so skewed because of that. I mean, look at the passing attempts for Detroit. They were over 72 passing attempts yesterday. They had over 40 completions,
Ridiculous.
but it didn't matter. The game was over midway through the second quarter. And so you can't really judge anything by defensive stat numbers this year. You just look at turnovers and the final score.
Yep.
That's the only thing
There's
that
an
matters.
interesting difference is that Dan Orlovsky and Drew Stanton both played for that 0-16 Lions team several years ago. It's interesting that one was on the field because his team was dominating. The other one was on the field because their starting quarterback was so inept. So, and of course, the Lions got some yards on that last-minute drive, that garbage time drive. That's another reason why total yards are kind of meaningless. When the team falls behind by a lot that early in the game, odds are the yardage is going to be about even because they're going to keep throwing. The second, third string defense is going to be in there, and they're going to rack up a bunch of meaningless yards.
Let me pose a question to you both. The Arizona Cardinals, are they the new and improved Legion of Boom? Now, of course, Legion of Boom, they get so much more recognition because they're back-to-back NFC champs. That's the difference. I mean, so far this season, they are the defense in the NFL.
I'll answer your question,
Cardinals.
and I'll say no. Because when you think about the Legion of Boom, hard-hitting, Cam Chancellor, some of those other safeties they have back there, I mean, they were very, very physical, very aggressive. I don't look at the Cardinals in the exact same way. I look at them almost as effective as the Legion of Boom, but just a different style. They don't have the outlandish personalities, the over-the-top, Richard Sherman-type personality. I love the fact that Patrick Peterson has toned it down. So on the effectiveness scale, I'd say close. They're trending towards that direction, but just I don't feel like they are going to lower the boom on the wide receivers.
So when
on
you
offense,
hear
exactly
Legion
like
of Boom,
Seattle.
you're thinking heads cracking.
I'm thinking of that particular style that Seattle played with, but I love the way the Cardinals secondary is playing right now. And in my opinion, they're the best in the NFL right now.
No question.
It's remarkable, too, because when you think the Cardinals' biggest offseason loss was Antonio Cromartie.
Yeah.
We're back to the Jets, and yet the Cardinals just haven't missed a beat with Gerard Powers and Rashad Johnson in there. Tyrann Mathieu has stepped up his game a bit. Patrick Peterson being healthy is another big thing. So the Cardinals kind of seems like addition by subtraction. Cromartie's gone, but the Cardinals secondary, again, we talk about picking on these quarterbacks who aren't having very good seasons, but again, you can't fault them for what they've done so far. They're doing exactly what they should do and then some to these guys so far.
Speaking of the actual Legion of Boom, yesterday, as we mentioned, I mean, that was a crazy finish in Cincinnati. Seattle had a 24-7 lead in the fourth quarter, and the Bengals end up going on to win it in overtime. Here's a crazy statistic. I know you love this. In the last 428 games where there's a 17-point fourth quarter lead, one team has come back to win it. That was Seattle yesterday.
Unbelievable.
In the last 5 years,
You know what? And
428.
I just look at the way that field goal bounced off the upright and went in. I've been saying this for weeks, really since the beginning of the season. There is no part of the success for Seattle the last few years has been luck.
Yeah.
Look what they did in the NFC Championship game. For any great team, you need luck. And it just can't happen. The ball cannot bounce your way all the time for 3 straight years. It's payback time this year. And like I said, they're not used to this. How are they going to handle adversity? Russell Wilson is used to doing whatever he wants and being the golden boy, right? I mean, they have a losing record right now. And it's going to get worse for them.
Here's the thing, Tom. If you and I and Jason were doing this show last year and the Seahawks were 5-4, we'd probably be saying a lot of the same stuff. What did they do after that? They won their last 7 regular season games.
But don't you feel this is different? I feel this is different than last year or 2 years ago for Seattle.
I'm still taking a wait-and-see approach.
Yeah, I do too. There's just something about them. They've earned that, have they not?
Yeah, and by the way, we had Jake Plummer interviewing in a few minutes. He's going to be talking about that. He's got a little bit of a different take as well as far as who's the favorite in the NFC West. So it's
but don't you have to see something from a team in that season to make you think that might be possible?
No, I don't think so.
I have to
You think they could literally just flip a switch?
Well, it's
and say,
not
we're gonna
flipping a
start
switch.
winning.
Why not?
Because it's relatively the same staff that has won back-to-back NFC championships. They have earned our respect.
One thing that concerns me from last week or from Sunday as well is that Marshawn Lynch was out. Their backup running back rushed for 150 some odd yards, so they have depth at running back now too. And so the running game wasn't the problem. You can't blame. You can't say, well, Marshawn Lynch him being out was the problem. But the Seahawks offense doesn't have it together yet. I agree, they're not that team yet. But we are so early in the season. By December, this is going to be irrelevant.
Mind you, if we're looking half glass full from a Seahawks perspective, That's a 24-7 lead in Cincinnati, who's undefeated,
Right.
in the fourth quarter without Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
True, but that's if somehow they can use that and it benefits them in any way going forward. Because the bottom line is, I think the fact that they blew a 24.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Say if they finish it off.
Way more
Different conversation. Are we saying Seattle's back? If they win 24-7 without Marshawn Lynch? It's a
The
different
ball bounces the other way
Totally.
off the upright.
But I think yesterday was a microcosm of the Seattle season. This is all about intangibles, and I just don't see all the chips falling into place for them in the way you need to be a champion and to win your division and go deep. I mean, do you see Green Bay losing anytime soon? Do you see Seattle winning multiple games on the road in the playoffs this year? I think the magic is off a little bit for Seattle this year.
I hope you're right, Tom. As a
Yeah,
Cardinals
fan,
fan,
yeah.
I hope you're right. I wanted to take a wait-and-see approach with Pete Carroll coach teams. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
That's absolutely right. You alluded to it earlier, Shane, but it's a great conversation. Of course, the Cardinal defense has been so dominant so far this year, but is it the great defense, or is it just the fact that the quarterbacks they faced in the first 5 weeks flat out haven't been that great?
Yeah, like we talked about last night at 10 o'clock, I really think it's a combo. I think the Cardinals exploit weaknesses in quarterbacks. They know how to find them, and they pick you apart, and they demoralize you. That's what they've done in several games, and it's a steamrolling effect. Man, these quarterbacks, when they're facing the pressure, when they're throwing interceptions, when they're seeing things and the speed and the blitzing, it's a little bit different than watching it on film. So, but I do think there's something to be said that Stafford is horrible. I mean, for the money
I don't know
they're
how.
paying
I don't
him,
know how
he
it's
has
so
not
bad.
progressed at all. Same thing with Kaepernick. He's having a horrible year. Cardinals got lucky. They played Jimmy Clausen for the Bears.
Yeah.
You know, Drew Brees had an injury when they were playing him. So things have fallen into place. It's a combination. You can't just say it's bad quarterback play. It's you know, 1/3 of this, 1/3 of that, 1/3 of the other thing, and it all adds up to the fact that they're just crushing these quarterbacks.
It is a combination. However, you have to look at the way they're winning. If you're beating Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers by 3 points, it's kind of a different story. But they're just absolutely pounding these teams. And that goes to show that this defense, I love to see this about them. They're bringing an intensity still, you know, regardless of the quality of quarterback they're facing, they're bringing the intensity they need
Right.
every week.
That's a big key because an average quarterback looked pretty good against them last week. You saw what Foles did yesterday.
Well, Foles, I
he
think
came back to
Foles just
reality.
had one of those games.
Yeah.
You know, it was, and again, that's what I like about this Cardinals team is the Rams did everything right, the Cardinals did everything wrong, and still the Cardinals were right there at the end. That to me is a good sign. But as far as just dominating opposing quarterbacks, I like what Bruce Arians said at halftime of the apparently to his players at halftime of the 49ers game. He said, "Let's step on their throats and don't let them get back up."
Here, let me
Yeah.
throw a question at you two guys. Can the Cardinals sustain the level of forced turnovers that they're doing defensively?
No.
I mean,
No.
can you keep, because that is such a secret sauce to their success.
Yes.
Right? But can you go into a game expecting the defense to create 3 or 4 turnovers, or does that eventually end and they have to find different ways to win?
To this level, no.
No,
because
not
it's
6
ridiculous.
again,
Yeah,
not 6.
but I do.
I said 3 to 4.
You're
Clearly
right.
not
Yeah,
6.
yeah, right.
Well,
But you're right.
But again, Cardinals 49 interceptions since 2013. So that's, I don't know, I can't do the math real quick, but that's what, probably about 1.5 a game. But that plus fumbles,
Yeah.
you know, 3 a game. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I think it's,
See,
it's
I agree
definitely
with you.
attainable.
It's like, I think that is part of their identity. It's like saying, can the New England Patriots count on Tom Brady throwing for 350 yards? Yeah, probably, because that's what he does.
If he needs
That's
to.
what this Cardinals defense does. They force turnovers.
It brings us back to it. If you're getting 3 turnovers a game consistently, you're getting national attention for this defense, and then how are you not considered the greatest in the NFL? Legion of Boom. Just because they're not smacking
They
heads?
just have to come up with, they have to come up with a different nickname because it just doesn't
Yeah,
fit
no, it's true.
for these Cardinals.
Something, yeah, we got to think of a creative nickname for this defense. But to the offense, let's take a look at the quarterback battle numbers from yesterday. Carson Palmer and Matthew Stafford. Carson only threw the ball 14 times, completed 11 for 161 yards, 3 touchdowns. Key right here, no interceptions compared to Stafford's 20 for 32, 188 for a touchdown and 3 picks. Combined, as you mentioned, Stafford and Orlovsky threw the ball 70 times. I mean, not exactly a very good mixed attack right there.
You know, Carson was outstanding yesterday. He had as many touchdown passes as he had incompletions. And you know what stands out when you know that he is on his game? when he dropped that pass in on John Brown from their own goal line practice. I love the call. And that pass, you know, I was out at training camp so much, they ran that play every single day at training camp. And they usually succeeded. It was nice to see them do it in the game.
That's what speed gives you. If the defense knows what's coming, it doesn't matter if you got guys who can burn you like that. With John, that's why I want to see J.J. Nelson back on the field, too. But John Brown, even if you know the Cardinals are targeting him, he's just going to outrun you.
And plus, he dropped that pass in perfectly. Great touch.
Right in the breadbasket.
You know, Carson Palmer's got the 4th best quarterback rating in the NFL right now at 114. His season high in his entire 13-year career for 1 year, 101.1.